Good day and welcome to SCO BRICS Insight, where we look at what's really going on in the world of the BRICS. Now today I'm going to talk about Russia and gold. Now Russia's accumulated a record level of gold reserves, and it's the highest percentage of their reserves in 25 years. In January, the share of gold in Russia's foreign exchange currency reserve reached 33.5%. That's the highest figure since autumn of 1999, and bear in mind, back then the figures were less than 20 billion. Now the value of the gold reserves has now exceeded $230 billion. Now could this shift signal a shift away from the dollar, the euro and the yuan in favour of gold as a medium of exchange? I mean, last week the Bank of Russia reported that international reserves as of February the 1st had risen to $622 billion, and that's up from $609 billion on January the 1st. Now Russia's investments in gold in January, after 2 months of decline, began to grow again in a month. They grew by 5.5% to $216 billion. It's the second largest result in history. Only October last year had more. As of August last year, Russia was among the top 5 countries in terms of gold reserves, ahead of China and behind the United States, Germany, Italy and France, according to Oleg Akimov, who's a professor of banking at the Russian State University. In terms of the volume of replenishment of gold reserves in the last 10 years, Russia's become one of the leaders, with up 1,298 tons and ahead of China with 1,181 and Turkey 424 tons. Now let's just pause for a moment. Now I believe that the figures reported for China I do not believe to be accurate. China is the world's largest gold producer and has been for many years. It produces about 350 tons per year, and it's not a gold exporter. Plus its banks are also gold buyers from the Shanghai Gold Exchange. So in my opinion, the actual figure for gold holdings by the Chinese state and its state banks is probably more likely to be around 7,000 to 8,000 tons. On the United States, given that its gold reserves have not been properly audited in 60 years, I think the figures of the US holdings of 8,000 tons is highly inflated. Plus now that Elon Musk and his team at Doge are going to carry out an audit, there may be a major shock to the global finance system, particularly if the figures he discovers do not correspond to what we've been told for decades about the amount of gold that's in the vaults of Fort Knox. And that could trigger the gold price to soar to stratospheric levels. Now before I continue, I'd like to make an appeal. If you like and enjoy my videos, you can help me fund the channel and develop it, plus my website, SCO-BRICS-Insight.com. You can do this by making a small donation, which is done by clicking on the thanks button at the bottom of the video screen. Everybody who does donate gets a personal thank you from me, and I'm thanking you all in advance, just because I know that you really love it to do it, and I'm thanking you all for watching. I really do appreciate all of you. Now, disappointment in the dollar, according to the financier Lazarus Barov, and that's why Russia's been actively accumulating gold reserves for the last 10 years. I mean, the primary motivations behind this strategy are with the ongoing sanctions and the rise in gold prices, which have been influenced by the geopolitical instability, sanctions wars, and the expansion of the money supply in the US and EU, causing various sort of bubbles, if you like. According to the financier, gold's return to its traditional role as a monetary asset is evidenced in its use as a reserve currency in international settlements and payments. Now it's noteworthy that the practice of maintaining a portion of gold in foreign exchange reserves is a widespread global practice amongst most central banks. In the 2000s, the Bank of Russia's strategy was to accumulate foreign currencies, primarily the US dollar. However, following the introduction of the first sanctions in 2014, the process of diversifying the gold and foreign exchange reserves was initiated. I mean, after the freezing of Russia's assets in 2022, it became evident that that process needed to be accelerated. Banilov believes that the future of Russian sovereign savings is clearly in gold. This strategy is justified in the new geopolitical realities where gold serves as a hedging instrument for any country that fears the aggressive policies of the US and its Western vassals. The recent events in the world have completely erased any illusions about this. In this context, Mikhail Gordienko, the professor of sustainable development at the Russian Financial University, highlights the rationality of gold purchases. I mean, it only makes sense. They can't steal it. And given the decline in the reliability of foreign exchange reserves as an asset class, as exemplified by the stealing of Russia's foreign exchange reserves, and then Euroclear, etc., then it's all illegal. The Bank of Russia has acknowledged this shift, albeit with a certain delay in its actions. The dollar still remains the global standard for the gold price, and the new developments of alternatives such as a BRICS currency are progressing slowly. So it's too early to say whether Russia intends to make payments in gold instead of the dollar or any other currency. What is significant is purchases of gold reserves began back in 2009, and the most successful years in terms of growth were in 2009, where it was up to 25%, and in 2010, 22%. And in terms of absolute purchases, it was 2017, when Russia bought 7.2 million troy ounces of gold, and in 2018, 8.8 million. So that was pretty significant. However, since 2020, there's been a marked decline in gold acquisitions for international reserves, with the quantity of gold in reserves rising only from 73 to 75 million ounces from January the 1st, 2020 to January the 1st, 2023. However, from January 2023 to January 25, growth in monetary gold has virtually been frozen at 75 million ounces, and that's a bit, I mean, Russia's effectively suspended new gold purchases to replenish its international reserves, but the National Welfare Fund, I know from personal experience, is buying gold, and it's going into there. So the question is how gold's share in international reserves has increased from 25% to 32% at the beginning of the year. The answer appears to be evident, because if you attribute it to the positive re-evaluation of the gold in dollars, so it's gone up in price. At the beginning of 2024, gold was at 2,084 per ounce, and by the beginning of 2025, it had gone up to 2,832. So we're looking at almost $800 increase, and almost 35%. So since 2019, there's been a cycle of rising gold prices, which has resulted in an increase in its share in international reserves, and Russia's made profitable investment in these assets since 2029, and it's now reaping the benefits of the positive revaluation. However, given the lack of significant growth in the mass of gold in international reserves in recent years, it would be inaccurate to suggest that Russia isn't preparing to switch to gold. It's just being frugal, and it's good housekeeping. It was a question of diversifying its international reserves while gold was relatively cheap. I mean, for Russia, gold bars have been an alternative to currency. I mean, some banks even complain about there's a shortage of gold now to actually sell to the customers. Rather than buying dollars, it's buy a block of gold and keep it under the bed. I mean, that's against the Western sanctions. Plus, there's no VAT on sales of precious metals by banks to individuals buying or selling. So that's made investment in gold a very attractive alternative to currencies, because they can be stored as long as desired without fear of depreciation and exchange rate fluctuations. In addition, gold can be taken abroad and sold there. I mean, Russia's now selling vast amounts of gold into the Dubai Gold and Commodities Exchange, and also the Shanghai Gold Exchange. So he's going to talk about setting a limit on the exports, but that's not really going to happen. Many people simply provide jewellery first because it's beautiful, secondly it's easy to sell. According to sociologists, each Russian citizen has about 20 grams of gold at home, which totally exceeds the state's reserves. In fact, it's a second gold reserve. Of course, speculation in gold is not worth it. The metal is eternal value, and you keep it as a long-term investment. It's becoming more expensive, but there's no basically way that gold's actually going to go back down again. It's only ever going to go up now. So it's not about profit, it's about saving money, and you think about it. If gold's reached the psychological mark of 3,000 this year, it's all going to continue to go up and up and up. Anyway, thank you for watching. Please like and subscribe. If you want to help me out, please click on the thanks button at the bottom of the screen and make a small donation. Thank you.